Baseball, it's a magical yet ironic game. When your team is on offense, your opponent controls the ball. When you fail 7 out of 10 times, you're considered a good hitter. Where the field is made of dreams. In the place where dreams come true, at the premier sports destination, the AAU hosts America's pastime for today's top talent and tomorrow's future stars. Top players from around the country come together to become all-stars. It's AAU All Star Baseball on ESPN3, and it starts right now. We welcome you inside Champion Stadium at ESPN's Wide World of Sports. The AAU Baseball Underclassman All Star Game. The blue and the red set to get it on in just moments. Very pleasant good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dave Weekley. Happy to be alongside former Major League catcher Mike LeVire. Underclassmen. These are 15, 16-year-olds, some high school stars, some young men we may be seeing who are going to be drafted in the Major League draft not that far into the future. Should have a tremendous game. Lots of talent on this field here. Yeah, earlier today we saw some of the younger boys, 14-year-olds, not a whole lot of offense. I'm looking for some fireworks here in this ball game. We got some bigger kids that are real strong. We've got a shorter fence, 300 foot. I tell you, one of the pitchers are going to have to be the top of their games to get these kids out. We were watching batting practice, and they were knocking it over the wall. No question about that. AAU Baseball All-Star Game. Here are the rules of the game. 7 innings, 15-run rule applies after 3 innings. An extra player or DH is available. An extra player may assume any of the 9 defensive positions in the field. The runners may slide head first today. No restrictions on innings pitched. Starting players may be withdrawn, but they may return to the lineup just once. Here is the lineup for the blue squad. Dylan Harris will play second base. Kyle Corbin will be in center field. Tyler Tyson will be in right. Tyler Danish will be the DH. Chipper and Zell will play left field. Keyshawn Lynch will be at third. Danny Rodriguez at short. Justin Ambrosio will be at first base. And Marcus Beggs is the third baseman. And Justin Terrell from the Jacksonville Dynasty is on the mound and is our starting pitcher. And the first pitch is a ball. Just a 7-inning game, so what you're looking for is some early offense and then letting your defense take care of it.
So young Justin kind of having a little trouble finding the strike zone early, and I guarantee you those kids that are pitching here today looked at that fence, that temporary fence at 300 foot and said, oh no, what am I going to do?
Pitch popped up. Left fielder Bice makes the play, and quickly there is one down in the top of the first.
Yeah, 2-0 pitch, get a pitch up and out over the plate, and as a hitter, and I guarantee you these guys are looking at the fence, and this is just a little bit high, it's elevated. They're wanting to hit that home run in the big league stadium, and that just got a little bit too aggressive, just a touch too high to drive that ball.
First pitch is a called strike. Kyle Corbin at the plate. Breaking ball, and he pulls it foul down the first base line, and the count levels at 1-1.
Yeah, so important for the offense in tonight's game to stay patient, stay within themselves, and not try to do too much. The tendency here is, yeah, again, being a big leaguer, going to Wrigley Field with the wind blowing out, you almost feel like you can hit every ball into the seats, and that's probably what these kids, a lot of these high school kids are feeling right now when they go up to the plate.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, and that one is skied to the gap in right center, and Bice moves over a couple of strides, makes the catch, and 2 are down here in the top of the first. Grant McCown steps up to the plate. And McCown First pitch swinging, shoots it straight up the middle. A sharply struck base hit. So 2-out single. Our first hit keeps the inning alive for the Blue.
That first pitch, off-speed delivery, stayed back on it real well, drove that ball up the middle. That's a good piece of hitting, and I tell you, good hitters, I don't think it makes much of a difference, you know, the count. I think they can hit in any count.
So Tyler Danish steps in, the cleanup man. Off-speed pitch. Terrell took something off that, and Danish with a mighty whiff.
And just watch the follow through by that hitter, and you see that head go just flying out of there.
Oh, he cranked that one. Forget about it. Best hit ball of the day. That's going to clear the major league fence, and is going to ride on out of here for a 2-run homer.
Well, there we go. Short fence or not, that ball's absolutely hammered by Tyler Danish. Got a off-speed delivery, kind of just hung up there. And those are those pitches right there. As a catcher, I call it a good breaking ball. This one just doesn't break until after it goes over the fence.
And check the left fielder. He doesn't even turn.
Yeah, it gives it a little courtesy, you know, as the thing is soaring over over his head. That ball's crushed over both fences there. That's a well-hit ball.
Ansel sends this one out as well, so they go back-to-back. Back-to-back home runs by the Blue, and it's 3-0.
Perhaps the Blue team, or they were listening to me in the open, looking for fireworks, and yeah, sure enough, I mean, bing bang, you know, we get a couple of homers. Obviously, that one not as prodigious as the previous shot, but again, hey, you still have to hit it.
Well, in the 14 and under game, the 14 and under All Stars for the Blue scored no runs and managed only 2 combined hits. And it's already 3-0, popped up by Lynch on the first pitch to the second baseman, and that is going to do it for the frame, but not before the big bats make the big noise. 2 home runs going back-to-back, total up 3 runs, and the Blue leads 3-0 after a half here at ESPN Wide World of Sports.
Unexplainable feats of strength. Cats morphing into croissants. Ninjas still working out the kinks. Just when you thought the internet couldn't get any more awesome. Now you can catch your favorite ESPN shows like SportsCenter, Pardon the Interruption, and Monday Night Football live online. Finally, the internet has reached its full potential. Find out how to watch ESPN live online at ESPNnetworks.com.
Soccer is a second language at the ESPN Wide World of Sports complex, and we want your team to join in the conversation. Develop your skills with the help of international soccer superstars on one of the nation's biggest stages, all while enjoying an experience that only Disney can provide. To find out how you can play here, visit DisneySoccer.com.
Well, we've got some early offense here. The Blue going back-to-back deep for home runs in the top of the first inning, build a 3-0 lead. And now Chaz Fowler from Chet Lemon's Juice. Chet Lemon's Juice having 2 teams represented here. Participants taking place in the 14 and under and the Underclassman All Star Game. Here's the lineup for the Red. Simmons will be in center. Cintron at second. Smith will play short. Javin Davis will be the DH. Montre Boyce will be in left. Malcolm Boyce, his brother, will be in right. Jason Jones at first. Victor Negron at third base. And Walker Bailey is the catcher. And Hunter Lee will be the extra player in the AAU 10-man lineup. And Landon Simmons set to check in. And he looks at a curveball that stays low in the zone. Simmons from the Jacksonville Dynasty AAU squad trying to get something going here. Get the red going in the bottom of the opening frame. Next pitch sails inside. Looked like a slider. 2-0.
I can assure you that Chaz saw the fireworks early and said, I better get my ball down.
Simmons taking all the way, and it cuts through the heart of the plate for a called strike. It's 2-1. Two-one pitch stays outside. 3-1. So how frustrating can it be sometimes for a head coach or a manager of a major league team? You get a 3-0 lead, and then the first thing you do is walk the leadoff man.
Well, that's the thing. It's just, whether you're ahead, whether you're behind, every pitcher knows what they need to do to be successful. Some guys can overcome that with really outstanding stuff. Some guys have to be pinpoint.
Here's the 3-2 pitch, and that was sent out to right and should be handled easily, and is one away. That's McCown out there in right.
Yeah, just kind of get a little bit inside the ball and really just kind of flipped it out to right field. Nice easy play by third base. You're looking at these outfielders also. They're playing in probably a little more shallow than they normally would play in their high school games. Just knowing that if they're playing regular depth, anything over their head's over a home run. So they're having to change their kind of game plan out there without having a warning track out there. May be one of the problems that they may come up with, and again, that's a temporary fence. They'll go right through that, but still, that's these kids, they practice this all the time. They know their number of steps on that warning track, and they're not able to use that today's ball game.
Luis Cintron at the plate, swings at the first pitch in the dirt, and he's behind in the count 0-2. Mike, that's a good point about the warning track. Although Tyler Danish didn't need that temporary fence, he didn't need the warning track, he didn't need anything. He sent it out over the major league wall to get the scoring started in this frame. Cintron, foul, catcher can't hold it, so he stays alive. It's 0-2. And a swing and a miss.
Yeah, Chaz Fowler doing a real nice job of keeping that ball knee down, and that's really how you get out, low ball hitters. Here's a little either a straight change or a little sinker right there, and you low ball hitters like the ball down, so you get them out. You just be a little bit lower than low.
Smith steps in, and the ball bounces away. Apparently that was a ball. It looked like it was right in the middle of the plate. Sometimes when the catcher will set up and miss the target, but it's over the plate, the umpire will be fooled as well.
Well, in the big leagues, that happens right there. And the umpire, a lot of times they'll still call that a strike, but they will give you the business.
Yeah.
And say, look, dude, you're making me look bad here. If you don't catch the ball, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call it a ball.
Smith sends this one to center field. And coming in and making the catch is Corbin. So quickly, 3 up, 3 down. We played one complete at the Underclassman AAU Baseball All Star Game at the ESPN Wide World of Sports from Champion Stadium. We're heading to the second inning when we return in just a moment.
This dude has a sick form.
This guy's a stud. Yeah. Oh, by the way, EWP equals runs scored squared divided by the sum of runs scored squared plus runs allowed squared. You definitely got that.
Oh, right. I flipped it.
It's whatever. Look, check this out. Lincecum has a whip of 1.23 at home, but 1.20 away. What do you think accounts for that 0.03 difference?
Nerds.
Whatever, Gary.
Ride like a rock star at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Buckle up and hit 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds on Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. You will take off in a convertible stretch limo through the streets of LA, through loops, corkscrews, and more to get you to the concert on time. This exciting ride in the dark will leave you cheering for an encore.
Light's not needed yet, but we may get there, and you can see the overcast skies. Our first All-Star game today, the 14 and under game. was delayed in starting by about 20 minutes by the rain. It's been overcast most of the day, 50% chance of showers, and we expected to see those this afternoon, but they've held off for the most part this afternoon. We're going to try to get this game in as best we can. Landon Faulkner from the East Cobb Titans now comes onto the mound.
That whole area outside of Atlanta, that East Cobb program, just up and down from ages 8 all the way through 18 and unders. They just, that place right there is a hotbed of AAU baseball. Great teams out there, some great players come out of that East Cobb program.
And Danny Rodriguez will lead it off for the Blue here in the second inning, and can't check his swing on the first pitch from Faulkner. Next pitch sails high, fastball outside. The count levels at 1-1. The Blue put 3 runs up in the top of the first inning. Back-to-back home runs. The big blast by Tyler Danish, a 2-run shot. Chipper and Zell followed that up with a solo homer, and that's where we stand. Next pitch is outside, 2 balls and a strike. So starting the second inning. Rodriguez swings and sends this one back up the middle. It'll be stopped by the second baseman, picked up by the shortstop, but that's going to go as an infield hit.
Yeah, I'm thinking even if they come up with that, second baseman comes up with that play, that's too far away, and you know, young catcher gets down the ball or gets down to first base pretty well. Probably had no play, easy single.
Justin Ambrosino to the plate, and the first baseman takes a look at a called strike. Another member of Chet Lemon's Juice. These underclassmen squads that have come to ESPN Wide World of Sports, 7 teams, so 7 teams have merged to create these 2 all-star squads. Now in the 14 and under game that we saw earlier today, there were 10 teams to pool 2 all-star squads from, and we saw a different pitcher every inning. We might just have to see 1 pitcher or maybe 2 go a couple of innings in this game.
Yeah, a lot of it's going to depend on how much they've thrown this week. You know, obviously, you know, during summer ball, yeah, they're going to be a little bit protective of the kids, making sure that they can't throw too much.
Runner on the move, and that's too easy. Bailey with a great peg down to second base, and a caught stealing.
That right there is just not a very good jump. He stumbled. That kind of reminds me of trying to steal second base right there. In fact, I thrown out, and really, you know, hey, can I call timeout and go back? But just nothing to take away from the catcher right there. That's just a good, strong throw, and base runner, little sloppy track.
Yep, that's true. This is a wet track. So Bailey with a great throw, and Cintron down on the other end basically had to wait for the runner to arrive. Ground ball down the left field line, foul, and the count goes full 3-2.
Yeah, I watched Justin Ambrosino in the home run hitting contest, and I tell you, this young man, he generates bat speed. Boy, he hits the balls a long, long way.
We're hearing from our crack production department that you have 5 career steals as the batter takes a walk. Now, how many of those steals, Mike, were hit and runs where the batter didn't make contact?
Well, to the best of my recollection,
all of them?
No, I'm sure there was a couple in there, but out of those 5, I got third base once.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there was total trickery, and I must have been running really, really good that day.
Marcus Begg takes a called strike.
But then, you know, I Little League too, and you know, Babe Ruth, and you know, my travel ball, I got to have at least 10 or 15 steals in my lifetime.
You know what? Most people remember you as a great defensive catcher on some great teams for the Pirates and other major league teams, but you actually came up as a third baseman. Shot down to third, and it goes right through. And the runner thought about coming on to third base, but will stay at second. I got to believe that's going to be an error.
Yeah, that's just right through the wickets. And speaking of third base, yeah, that was my my position. Speaking of position, check out our squirrel. But here it is. Ball's hit fairly well, and third baseman just comes up on it just a little bit too quick, and goes through the wickets in the left field. But at the time, I had signed with the Phillies. They had a pretty good third baseman at the time.
Yeah. pride of Ohio University, Mike Schmidt.
And so it might have been a very wise career move when they said, hey, Spank, we want you to be a catcher. And I says, well, what if I don't want to be a catcher? He says, well, why don't you go home and get your lunch pail and do that? And I says, guess what? I'm going to be a catcher.
Give me those tools of ignorance. I'm ready to go.
Absolutely.
Bailey backhands that ball in the dirt nicely. Count is 1-1. Blue trying to get something going here again. They've got 2 runners on with only 1 out. And Logan LaPace, the extra player at the plate in the number 10 hole, rather. And that is a foul ball down to the third base line. If LaPace can stay out of a double play here, we'll go back to the top of the order for Dylan Harris next. With his East Cobb Titan uniforms, they kind of remind you of Fullerton State, don't they? There's a ball that stays outside.
Yeah, they there's some sharp uniforms. You know, that you see these kids wear, and yeah, I was pretty impressed with the new Marlins version. You know, pretty flashy.
Yeah, I like the Marlins uniform.
Yeah, it's you know, the old run-of-the-mill. You go back to the old woolen grays. I thankfully didn't have to wear those, but it wasn't too much later than that I played.
Payoff pitch popped up. And shortstop Smith goes back and makes the catch.
Yeah, that should have been infield fly. I think the umpire ended up calling that late. You know, right there, any routine pop-up less than 2 outs to the infield, where the should be a routine play. The umpire will call out infield fly rule. The runner is on, or the batter is automatically out. The runners can advance at their own risk. So one of the little tricky things that I used to try to teach my high school kids is go ahead and drop it, and let's see if that guy will try to advance. Of course, you know, you're playing with fire when you ask a kid to drop a ball.
Oh, no question. Harris at the plate, his second trip to the dish in as many innings. Close pitch, called a ball, just stayed outside. Harris for the Carrollwood Gators. 3-0.
Yeah, speaking of the Gators, early exit from the College World Series. Kevin O'Sullivan and his group seeded #1. End up, I don't know, you call it upset, whatever. I think there's a lot of parity in college baseball right now, but they sent home packing. They were definitely expecting more.
Bailey thinks he's got to play, and he does. And that'll do it for the inning. And you mentioned the Gators going out of the World Series, the College World Series. Florida State on the verge of being eliminated as well. That game live right now on ESPN. 3-0 Blue heading to the bottom of the second.
I'll take David Wright.
Are you crazy? Batista and Reyes are still available.
Can you two speed it up?
I stand by Wright.
ESPN Fantasy Baseball. Sign up for free at ESPN.com.
Disney soccer tournaments sponsored by AS Roma provide athletes of all ages the opportunity to compete against athletes from across the U.S. and around the world. From 3-on-3 youth tournaments to elite showcase events with hundreds of college recruiters present, the ESPN Wide World of Sports soccer program offers something for everyone. To find out how you can play here, visit DisneySoccer.com.
And for more information on Disney Soccer, ESPN WWOS.com. And as we might expect, we got quite a few visitors hanging in for this game from all angles to watch the action. Brennan Garcia has come out of the bullpen and will work the second inning. So Chaz Fowler, who was the pitcher of record who started this game and who got 3 runs in the first inning, is in line to be the winner in this game. if his teammates can hold the lead.
Yeah, timing is everything, Dave. And, you know, I tell you one thing, I was very impressed. Your left-hander with the movement on his fastball, had good little zip on it, threw that little changeup that had some good downward motion. I tell you what, that's a good recipe for success there. Left-handers, everybody wants them. You can't have enough of them. When they're throwing strikes, keeping the ball down, very, very effective.
And the first pitch to Davis is a called strike. Jacksonville Dynasty represented. Next pitch, sky to right. Should be easy, and it is. McCown makes the catch, one away. This is day 3 of a 5-day event for these AAU squads. They arrived here on Wednesday, played games Wednesday afternoon and Thursday, All-Star Friday. Had a 14 and under All-Star game. This is the Underclassman All-Star game, which encompasses players who are 16 and 15 years old. Had a skills competition, home run derby. Pitch is fouled away. Montre Boyce, the left fielder, at the plate. And we mentioned when we came on the air that his brother also is playing for the Red Squad, his twin, and they're both starting in the outfield in this game. Now, Spanky, that's not exactly what you call textbook attempt at a bunt right there.
Yeah, that's right there. The young man had bunt in his mind. Was probably surprised, you know, with that breaking ball. You know, breaking ball went way up in the air, and he couldn't change his mind quick enough, and really kind of a half-hearted attempt at it. And a lot of that is maturity. You know, it's just being able to see it. You know, he's facing a good pitcher. He probably hasn't seen no kind of scouting report, anything on this guy. So, yeah, you're going to have some surprises in a game like this.
In the dirt, 2-2. Boyce, obviously, we've seen it already. Good speed in the outfield. He was bunting for a base hit. Nobody on. Here's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. And Garcia punches him out for the second out of the second.
Yeah, good hard fastball after Garcia challenged him right there with the fastball. Threw a couple hooks early, and here's that just good cheese that's just right by him. Boyce kind of pulled his head off and it made it a little bit easier on Garcia.
Here's his twin brother Malcolm. And how odd is it where you see twins where one twin bats righty and Malcolm bats lefty?
Well, there's no telling. I don't know. Maybe they were kind of you know, kids that were a little active, and maybe mom and dad kind of tied their hands together, and then they could only use the other one.
Shot to center field and a diving catch made out there by Corbin. So Corbin makes a fine diving catch to end the inning, and we are heading to the bottom of the second. The blue leads the red 3-0. Corbin with the robbery on the base hit attempt. We're back to ESPN Wild World of Sports in a moment.
I think it's coming in really good.
Yeah, totally.
I'm going to win this mustache contest.
Maybe. Good luck with the...
You're going down this year. See you in 2 weeks, pal.
Disney soccer tournaments sponsored by AS Roma provide athletes of all ages the opportunity to compete against athletes from across the U.S. and around the world. From 3-on-3 youth tournaments to elite showcase events with hundreds of college recruiters present, the ESPN Wide World of Sports soccer program offers something for everyone. To find out how you can play here, visit DisneySoccer.com.
And for more information about Disney Soccer, easy to get that info, ESPNWWOS.com. That's ESPNWWOS.com. Of course, ESPN and then WWOS stands for Wide World of Sports. And hard-hitting Mark Whitten. You want to listen to a guy who drove in 13 runs, a major league record in a doubleheader.
Yeah, this right there is invaluable experience right there, getting advice from a big league guy. And, you know, right there, he's got, you know, all those kids' attention, you know, and hopefully those kids are absorbing that, because, you know, it's one thing to be able to teach and say, well, this is what you could do, this is what you should do, and another thing to say, hey, this is what I did. And it really, you know, these kids right here, that's great stuff right there. Mark talking to them about it, probably, you know, some fundamentals. Hey, watch the ball. Hey, let's keep your hands inside the ball. Those are all good things.
He's from Pensacola, switch hitter, played for a variety of teams: the Jays, the Tribe, the Cardinals, the Red Sox, Philly, Atlanta, and Seattle, and the Yankees. And we mentioned in our first broadcast that, hey, anytime you hit 4 home runs in a game, you're going to be known for that. But he was a tremendous defensive player as well.
I tell you one thing, David, probably had as good an arm in the outfield as I've seen. You know, he's got to be one of those guys that's, you know, a top 10 guy from throwing from the outfield.
New pitcher here at the top of the 3rd inning for the red team, Jalen Williams, and he is facing Kyle Corbin. Speaking of good defense, how about the play Corbin made to end the last inning? Slow roller down the 3rd base line. That ball was not going to go foul, so it was picked up down there by Negron, but he had no play. So a slow rolling ball down the 3rd base line is an infield base hit to start the top of the 3rd.
Yeah, there's just nothing you can do right there. Williams makes a good pitch, and just this is where speed kills right there. 3rd baseman comes in, makes a great play, and he's well past the bag.
Yeah, it shows a good arm there. That is the 4th hit of the game for the Blue. Grant McNown is next. And McNown singled a line drive to center field his first time up and was on base when Danish unloaded a long 2-run homer. That was about a 58-foot fastball that found its way to the back fence.
Yeah, that's tough on the catcher right there. You know, whenever you put down a curveball, slider, changeup, I ask all my catchers, hey, don't be surprised. Okay, at this level, you're still going to get some fastballs in the dirt. You know, you can't expect, you know, these kids to have that pinpoint control, and that's just a tough play on a catcher.
So the count's 2-0. Hey, just looking out and seeing Williams reminds me to ask you a question. I mean, Williams is using a glove, a light colored glove out there, a Reebok model. And there's been so much talk this week. High drive right back to the pitcher. And he turns. No chance of the double play, but how about those reflexes by Williams? That's a fine play.
Yeah, that's one of those. That could be called self-defense right there. Bullet right back at him, and really nice play by Williams. Great reaction time.
Here's Danish coming up. The point about the color of the glove, there's been discussion in light of the Joel Peralta situation with the Rays the other night, where he was ejected from a game in Washington against the Nationals for having pine tar in his mitt. Why doesn't Major League Baseball just make black mitts illegal? Because you can hide pine tar so much easier with a black mitt. If you just change the color of the glove, you eliminate the problem, don't you?
Well, you know, baseball players forever and ever are looking for an edge. Okay, I'm not going to say that I ever cheated before, Dave.
Right.
But I was asked to cheat by a few of my pitchers, and I could only oblige them if I could. You know what? I think it's something that it's part of the game. I don't think you can eliminate the gloves. I think you have a little trouble with the manufacturers. I think there's some guys that, you know, they happen to like it. And, you know, I never had any problem with the guy having a little extra grip on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. I didn't want to slip out of his hands and take the chance of wearing one on the side of my body.
There's only a handful of major leaguers who really don't use a dark glove. And it just seems like if all dark gloves were ruled illegal, that would be one temptation that would leave the game. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss. Boy, Danish. The air comes out of the infield when he swings from his heels.
Yeah, he was looking for another one right there, but you know, I tell you what they'll do. They'll find a different colored glue.
Yeah,
they're always going to adapt.
Here's the 1-2. took a little bit off that and never got back into the zone.
I'm sure Jalen Williams, you know, after that pitch, big swing and a miss by Danish, that he's going to try to, you know, locate that ball just a little bit more. And, you know, it can be a little disconcerting too, especially a young kid. You know, watch that kind of swing, know that kind of power. He's just seen it rocket back at his coconut. You know, now it's like, well, I got to pay a little more attention to what I'm doing here.
Takes a little time after he tucks his uniform top back in and gets a good-looking fastball down in the zone that Danish can only foul back.